Hello and welcome to La Rosa Reads. Today I'm going to share an author spotlight on Lisa Cross Smith and reflect upon my 2023 reading goals. Let's talk books. Oh, 2023, you have flown by, baby. And so here we are, ready to reflect upon this reading year. I promised in my 2023 goals video that I was going to give an author spotlight on the one, the only, Lisa Cross Smith. Lisa Cross Smith is one of those authors whom I feel deserves the flowers, the love, the praise that I'm feeling is eluding her. And it makes me frustrated that we have a handful of authors that are getting all the buzz and attention whenever we have jewels, masters of the craft, like Lisa Cross Smith, who is doing her thing and doing it oh so well. Lisa Cross Smith is the author of 5 books. I have read 4 out of those 5 books, and I am going to review those books today, also give you a little bio about Lisa Cross Smith, and give you my thoughts on why I think she is an author deserving of our love, attention, and eyes and ears when it comes to reading her work or listening to it via audiobook. Lisa Cross Smith is a homemaker, an artist, and a woman of letters. She is the author of Goodbye Earl, Half Blown Rose, This Close to Okay, So We Can Glow, Whiskey and Ribbons, and Every Kiss a War. Her next novel, As You Wish, forthcoming from Tiny Reparations Books in 2025, is one I'm super excited to read. She was longlisted for the 2022 Mark Twain American Voice in Literature Award and the 2021 Joyce Carol Oates Literary Prize. Her accolades are extensive. She lives in Kentucky with her high school sweetheart husband and their 2 teenagers. Whiskey and Ribbons was published in 2018, and it is one book that I found to be so poignant, so beautifully and eloquently written, and heartbreaking at the same time. We have a police officer by the name of Iman living in Louisville, Kentucky. He is a black man who is a stand-up guy, a police officer in Louisville, and he's also a descendant. He has a father who is also a police officer, a retired police officer. So this work of serving his community has just been ingrained in his spirit all of his life. He has an adopted half-brother who is a white guy by the name of Dalton. Dalton and Iman grew up together because their mothers were best friends. Unfortunately, Iman became Dalton's brother for real, an adopted brother, whenever Dalton's mother took her own life. In walks Evie, this beautiful ballerina who literally walks into Iman's life whenever he was volunteering as a security guard at his church, where Evie is a person who attends the church as well. So her being a member of this church led her to running into Iman. They immediately fell in love and enjoyed such a wonderful, romantic, love-filled relationship until one day Iman tragically dies by responding to an incident on his way home from work. This sends Dalton and Evie into such a deep, profound state of grief for obvious reasons. Evie had been married to Iman for 2 years and was due to give birth to their first child just 7 days after Iman passed away. So Dalton and Evie find solace in each other's company. Dalton becomes a father figure to baby boy who never got a chance to know his father. And so much unfolds from that moment. It's a very interesting story in that all of the characters are simple, everyday characters with complexities and just layers upon layers of journeys and longing and thoughts that make the story so rich. I truly enjoyed this book. Then we have Lisa Cross Smith's next book, So We Can Glow, which was published in 2020. This is a collection of short stories that are about women and love. Everything from loving friendships to romantic love that takes on many forms, affairs, marriages, courtship, all of the things. And I found myself reading this book and having a hard time finding my rhythm until I was about 40% in, and the writing blew me away. Lisa Cross Smith is an author who writes in such a way that inspires you to become a writer, yet make you feel like it is truly a unique gift that only a select few can have and share with the world. So it's a little inspiring while like intimidating at the same time when it comes to your own desires for writing. But let me tell you guys, this was quite the read with short stories. Some stories were longer than others, some more engaging than others, which is typical of short story collections. But I have to tell you, every single one of them was written to perfection. This Close to Okay, published in 2021, is my least favorite Lisa Cross Smith book, and that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. It just means that of all of her works, this was the one that I didn't feel as emotionally connected to or as invested in. We have two characters who find themselves in such an unconventional way. Tally is a therapist, and Emmett is a man who finds himself standing on the edge of a bridge about to commit suicide whenever Tally happens to be driving by and decides to pull over and help this man out, a complete stranger. And from there, we have a weekend where Tally and Emmett grow intimately close to each other. And I'm not just talking about in the sexual way, intellectually, emotionally. And girlfriend takes the stranger home, and he's hanging out at her house for a weekend, getting himself together. Now, y'all, that is where my love bug, Lisa Cross Smith, lost me. I just could not wrap my head around a woman making such a decision that is so risky and lacking a little bit of common sense. But, you know, it's fiction, right? So I'm trying to go along. And Lisa Cross Smith is a gifted writer because she managed to have me going from this is so far-fetched to cheering for, rooting for these two to become a couple. How does she do that? I will never know. What I do know is this book is a solid 3-star read. I would not recommend that you start your Lisa Cross Smith journey with this book, but it is decent nonetheless. And y'all, then we have Half Blown Rose, published in 2022, and this was my first Lisa Cross Smith book, and it is the book that had me falling in love with this woman and made her an auto-buy author for your girl. I just don't need to know anything about Lisa Cross Smith's books. I just need to know that she's got a book out, and I will automatically buy that thing because of Half Blown Rose. Vincent is an older Black woman, an artiste, who is married to a white author, and they've been married for many years. They fell madly in love in their early 20s days. They have children, and they have a full, successful life. And Vincent comes from wealth. Her parents are wealthy and very well known in the world of artistry, both visual and performing arts, I should say. Vincent is in great distress whenever her husband's next book comes out, and it's semi-autobiographical, and she reads enough to know this sounds too real, but I didn't know this about my man. What is happening? Well, she finds out a secret of her husband's that she obviously didn't know because it's a secret. This sends her into a tailspin, and with her wealthy self, she says, "Oh no, I must fly to Paris and stay at my parents' apartment while they're away in another country at another home that they own, so I can decompress, collect myself, and decide, will I stay with my husband after discovering his secret?" Well, it gets a little complicated because your girl Vincent decides to teach some art classes while she's there. She makes friends with some fun, eclectic, wild, wealthy friends. And she also becomes smitten with one of her young students, and I mean young. An affair takes place, which makes it a little hypocritical of your girl to be all like against her husband and judging her husband because she's got skeletons in her own closet. It is so beautifully written. Yes, it's salacious. Yes, there's romance. And yes, there are just crappy people making crappy decisions. But the way she writes this book, it's like, OMG, I am all in. She also has a soundtrack. You have music that Vincent is listening to at different parts of this experience this summer. It is so superb. Love me some Half Blown Rose. And finally, we have Goodbye Earl, written by Lisa Cross Smith and published in 2023. All of these books of Lisa Cross Smith's take place in a small town in Kentucky, I believe. All of them take place in Kentucky. And even though Half Blown Rose, Vincent ends up going to Paris, there's like a dual story going here, like where her husband's still in Kentucky. Much the same is happening here, where we have 5 friends who graduated from high school in 2004. One of those friends has left the day of graduation, never to return until 2019, whenever she decided to return for a wedding. It is something else because we have dual timelines, 2004, 2019, and in both stories, we have revenge. These women seeking revenge for men who are just the scum of the earth. And the friendship among these young women, who then become older women, is nothing short of amazing. If you are a lover of friendships and stories about friendships, like I'm thinking Golden Girls 2.0, Golden Girls with the characters in their 30s, Sex in the City, you know what I'm talking about. Girlfriends, those kinds of stories, those kinds of bonds. You will love this book. And it also has a couple of, mystery/thrillerly things happening. So it was a stretch. It was a different vibe for Lisa Cross Smith, and I found that she did an amazing job. Her writing talent didn't stand out to me as much. Like, there wasn't that lush, poetic writing of hers, but yet the story flowed and was told so beautifully nonetheless. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So why is Lisa Cross Smith a favorite author of mine? First and foremost, she is highly gifted, highly skilled as a writer. I love her writing. It draws me in. It's so vivid. It awakens all 5 of my senses. I love that about her. I also love that this is a Black author who chooses to have her stories take place in the country, in the South. Typically in small towns, sometimes in larger country-like towns like Louisville. I love that about her. I also love that she stretches herself to write about characters outside of the Black diaspora, the Black experience, if you will. I think it's really smart of her, and she also still is very much telling stories about Black experiences while sharing some universal truths that people of all races can connect to. Please, 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 if you haven't already, check out her work. I think if you're into romance, start with Half Blown Rose. I think Whiskey and Ribbons is just one that is pretty solid to start off with. Some people felt like it was boring when I read the reviews, like it drug out for so long. But if you like stories that are lush like that and take their time in unpacking the character's journey, go for it. All of her books are character driven, and I love that, love that, love that. I haven't read Every Kiss a War because I quite frankly can't get my hands on it. That was her first book, written in 2014. It is a collection of short stories. So if you can help me find it, I will definitely snag it up and give it a read. So what about my other reading goals? My other reading goals fared pretty well for 2023. I had an opportunity to read 7 classics by Black authors. I wanted to read 12, but I have to say, I am super proud of myself for reading over half the amount that I was aiming for, and I love the experience. I feel so well read. I feel so much more connected to my Blackness by reading these classics. So I consider that a win. I continue to read for joy and connect with fellow book lovers on BookTube and in person, so I'm so satisfied with accomplishing those 2 goals. I also wrote some more reviews on Instagram as well as on Goodreads, and that was a great experience as well. I feel like I didn't just read a book and put it on the shelf and move on to the next. I made a point to meaningfully reflect upon that reading experience, and I think that is making me a better reader and, quite frankly, a better person for going deeper and thinking more fully and thoughtfully about what I'm reading. I just am loving that part of my journey. While I feel like a couple of my goals were a fail, such as having you choose my TBR, you guys, thank you for those of you who shared some recommendations. I unfortunately did not follow through consistently with that. I think it's because I'm a mood reader and either I'm in the mood to read a book or not, and someone giving me an extra nudge just doesn't do it for me unless I truly am in the mood to read it. I also had a secret project that ended up not happening, and that's okay. I am not giving up on that project, and I hope to have many more creative ideas for you here on BookTube for 2024. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this year, and I pray that you continue to hang out with me. Let me know how you fared with your reading goals for this year. What did you accomplish? What did you maybe fall short on? But just know, regardless, reading should be a joyful experience. It's not about reading a certain number or achieving certain goals. It's about just immersing yourself in the book and relishing in every word. I hope you're doing well, and until next time, happy reading. Bye!